Well, hello, David Taub here, Next Level Guitar, and today we're going to talk about building a little major scale and how do you build major scales. And these modules are pretty important because they're laying the foundation for music theory, and we're going to go into it a little bit, but we're not going to get too heavy, and I'm going to keep things simple as we keep building the foundation that you're going to be building upon as you continue up your staircase in your musical journey. This is a very, very important material, especially if you ever want to get into things like songwriting, and we have modules coming up on writing songs and chords in each key and chord construction, and you really need to understand these things to have a firm grasp moving forward. So I want to talk about the major scale. Remember, like you've probably heard me say this in past modules, the major scale is the elemental constant that everything in music is compared to. All music theory goes back to the major scale. And we all know the major scale. It's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And if I play it on guitar, it'll have that same sound. Let's do it in the key of C. Right? If I do it in another key, it's still going to have that do, re, mi sound because those intervals or the distances between the notes are staying the same. It's just going to be lower or higher in pitch. Here, I'll play it in G. Listen again. Very much major scale. You can hear that in the key of G, right? Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to just diagram some things out for you so you could really grasp this and see it on paper and then relate it to the guitar. Okay, when we're talking about the major scale, the elemental constant in music theory, we all know do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's the major scale, okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to assign for each one of those notes. A major scale has 7 notes. And for each one of those notes we assign a number or degree in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Do is the first note, is the 1, re is the 2, mi is the 3, and so on and so forth. So each note gets a number. So there's 7 notes in any major scale, okay? Now, to build a major scale in any key, you follow a formula. No matter what note you start on, your first note, that'll be the 1, that'll give you the key. If we start on a C, that'll make it C major. If we start on a G, the 1's the G, that'll make it G major, because we're talking about major scale here. The formula that you have to follow, again, that's a standard that will build any major scale for you is this. You're going to go start on your first note, let's say C, if you want to do it in C major, and then go a whole step to the next note, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And that will give you the major scale. On guitar, a whole step is 2 frets. That's also called a whole tone. And a half step is a 1 fret, also called, you might have heard it called a semitone. So if you can memorize this formula, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, you can build any major scale. I played the scale before. Let's do it in the key of C. Okay? I play my C note. If I go a whole step, the next note would be the D, or the 2, the second in the key of C. That's a whole step away, or 2 frets. Then you go another whole step to the E. C, D, E. Then the next is a half step. Remember, whole step, half step. I go from my E to the F. That's a half step. Then I go to my G, which is a whole step. Another whole step up to the A. Another whole step up to the B. And then I end on a half step, puts me back to the C. And there's your major scale. Just by following this simple formula. Okay? So what I did was I just did it in the key of C. C, start on a C, go a whole step to the D. Then D, go a whole step or 2 frets to the E. E, whole step, E, half step to the F. F to G, go a whole step. Then I got to go another whole step. That'll go to A, whole step B, and then half step back to C. This is how you build any major scale. And really, if you follow this formula, you don't even really need to look at the guitar. You could just write it all out and you got it. You're just remembering this series of whole or half steps. And this is for major scales, not minor scale, harmonic minor, not melodic, not Phrygian or this is major scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. If we wanted to do it in G major, right? So our first one, we're going to pick our G. Then we have to go a whole step. G, G sharp, A, right? Because we're going 2 notes. G, G sharp, A. We have to go a whole step. So our second note in the key of G major would be an A. Then we have to go another whole step. A, B flat, B. See, I'm just taking the notes in order. B, G, A, B. There's our first 3 notes in the key of G major. Now, the next one's a half step. B, what's after B? Remember our 12-note scale. You have to know the 12 notes. So that module was before this one, either on the DVDs or on the website. So make sure you watch that one. B, C. That's our half step. B to C. Then we go a whole step. C to D. Another whole step. D to E. Another whole step. E to F sharp. E, F, F sharp. And then F sharp, we have to go a half step, gets us back to G. So here is our major scale in the key of G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then, you know, we go back to G. There's 1 sharp in the key of G major. G major is the only key with 1 sharp, F sharp. Much like if you notice C major is the only key with no sharps or flats. There's no sharps or flats in the key of C. So we just built our G major scale. And let's play it. And you'll see it'll sound exactly like what I've played before. G, whole step is our first interval, gets us to the A. G, you don't play the G sharp, you go to the A. Remember, it's a whole step, 2 frets. Likewise, whole step to B. G, A, B. The first note is G, the second note or the 2 is the A. The third in the key of G, or the third note or third chord or 3 would be the B. Then I go half step, B to C. That's a half step. My fourth note in the key of G is C, whole step to D, whole step to E, whole step, there's my F sharp, half step back to G. Whole step, whole step, whole step, right? Half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And there is our key, our major scale in the key of G major. And I can play that anywhere on the guitar. I'm just playing G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. No matter where on the guitar I play those in that order, that's a major scale. I play it here. No matter where. Just playing the G major scale in all positions, which if you want to get into lead guitar, that's something you're going to want to know down the road, right? Okay, so just remember, music theory is so easy and simple and fun if you break it down this way, because soon you're going to be writing your own songs and you could be like, I can't do that. You can. You can do it. Okay, it's just learning a little bit of theory and then applying it like we're doing on the guitar. Everything we learn, we apply. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is your major scale. All we're doing, we're assigning a number in order to each note of the scale. In the key of C, our first note, or 1, is the C, right? That's our 1. Our 2 would be the D, that's our second note. Our 3 is the E, our third. Our 4th is the F. 5, 5th note is G. 6A, 7A is the, 6A, 7B, and then we're back to C. So these, all we're doing, it's so easy, just assign a number and count. Pretty much. So if someone asks you what's the 4th in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be the F. What's the 2nd in the key of C? D. What's the 5th in the key of C? G. That's all it is, people. All we're doing is we're assigning a number to each note in the scale and then counting. And that's it, okay? So I want you to digest this, and you're going to be wanting to watch the lessons that we also have on chord construction, and then eventually on chords in each key. Okay, and keep walking that musical staircase. This is very, very important. It'll make you a better musician. You'll understand things much faster and be able to apply them quicker if you know a little bit of theory. We're not going to get into it too crazy this early in your journey, but we are going to touch upon it, because if you just take a little extra time, it's going to have huge payoffs later. We would not steer you wrong. The major scale. Study it, learn it, live it. And I'll see you in the next module. Take care.